Create a accounting Docker Hub. So what is that, guys? HTTPS // hub Docker Hub. So this is the URL, guys. You guys can create the GitHub account, guys. It is very easy. Nothing to worry about it. Okay. So yesterday what we discussed, guys, we discussed about the how to install the Docker, right? How to install the Docker and we see some commands, Docker images, Docker pull, hello world, Docker images, Docker run, how to run the Docker. Docker PS means the running running containers, PS-A, stopped and running containers, inspect RMI if you want to remove the Docker images. Okay, stop the Docker images, start the Docker images. Or you can start the Docker images, guys. Docker start container ID. What is that? Container ID. You can stop and start the containers, remove the containers, remove forcefully, oh no. Guys understood? So these are the commands you understood, right? Yeah. So yep, guys. So Docker architecture. So what is the Docker architecture, guys? Say Docker file. Docker file from the Docker file to Docker builder. So it will create the Docker images. From the Docker images, you can run the as a container, right? So as of now, what we discussed about Docker images. So we are pulling the Docker images from the GitHub repository, Docker Hub repository and run as a container. So right. So we as of now we discussed these things. Today we will discuss about the Docker file also. Today we'll discuss about the Docker file. Yes, understood. So what is that? So now you understood Docker file. So today we will understood the Docker file. You already know Docker image, Docker hub, Docker registry, Docker client, Docker container. You already know, right? Yeah. So this is the registry. Okay. So from the Docker file, we can build the Docker. So we can build the Docker, and today we will push it to the Docker hub repository. Okay. Yeah. So we know only the Docker pull, right? So Docker run we already run. So Docker build. So today we'll discuss about the Docker build, Docker tag, Docker push. Okay. Yeah. So Docker terminology, Docker commands, Docker info, Docker images, Docker pull, Docker run, Docker PS. You already know. So the Docker terminology is Docker file, Docker image, Docker container, Docker registry, and Docker engine. Okay. What is Docker file? Docker file contains the instructions to create an image. It contains domain specific keywords to build the image. Domain specific keywords to build the image. Guys, understood? Domain specific to build the image. So Docker file contains an instruction to create an image. To create an image, instructions to create an image. It contains Docker domain specific keywords to build the image. What are those? Docker domain specific keywords. Docker domain specific keywords to build the image. So Docker image is the package which contains everything. What is that? Docker image is the package which contains everything: app code, software, environment, and libraries. Everything we will have. So Docker container is the runtime instance of Docker image. What is that, guys? Docker container is a runtime instance. Runtime instance of Docker image. Docker image out application will execute in the Docker container. Docker registry is the place where we can store our Docker images. What is that? Docker hub or Docker registry is the place where we can store our Docker images. Docker engine is a software using which we will create the Docker images and Docker containers. If we have the Docker run engine, if the Docker service is running on your mission, so then only we can create the images, Docker images and Docker container running as a Docker container. Otherwise, if your Docker container, if your Docker service, systemctl docker start, right? That docker engine service is not running on your VM or a physical machine or a virtual machine or a instance. So we will not create the docker images and we will not run the docker containers. Okay, if the docker engine is running, so then only we will create the images and running as a containers. Okay, Docker Hub is a public repository or a registry. Everybody can store and retrieve the images. Nexus, JFrog, DTR, AWS, these are the private repositories. These are the company specific. Satish, now you understood? Satish,
Yes, bro. Yeah, I understood.
you understood, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Docker Hub is the public repository. Everybody can store and retrieve the images. But Nexus, JFrog, DTR, AWS here are the private repositories. These repositories are using company. It's a company specific. Okay. Yeah, you see something like a Docker file creation and Docker tag. So these are the domain specific language keywords. So Docker domain specific keywords. These are the from Ubuntu means this is the base OS. So a Docker container, a Docker image contains base image OS and your libraries mean softwares and application code. So right. So this is from Ubuntu. We will get the Ubuntu. Then these are the commands, domain specific commands. From these domain specific commands, so we can run as a Docker image. We can run as a Docker image. From the Docker image, we can build the Docker. So from the Docker file, we can build the Docker image and push it to the Docker Hub repository. Push it to the Docker Hub repository. Then pull it to, so for example, if it is a dev, production, or QA, we can push it to any mission. Understood, guys? Yeah. So we'll discuss the domain specific keywords. So what are the domain specific keywords? We'll discuss today. Okay. Yes, understood. So what is that? So Docker file. So from the Docker file, we can build the image, Docker image. So from the image, we can run the container, Docker container. Guys, now you understood?
Yes, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. It is very clearly right now.
So instead of pulling image from Doctor Hub, we are going to create our own image as per our
Yes, yes,
requirement.
yes, yes, yes. So why? Because so so we need a image contains. What image contains? A Docker, a Docker image contains, guys, a Docker image contains OS, comma, softwares like so I'm running a Java application, Java and Tomcat. So these are the softwares and application code. What is that? And application code. These three are included in our Docker image. Okay. So you can run on anywhere. So if you create the container, you can run on anywhere. For example, so this OS is the base OS is from CentOS. But you can run this code on Ubuntu or AIX or UX or Oracle Linux or Amazon Linux. Everywhere you can use it. So everywhere you can use it that image, guys. So because of this contains a OS, a software and application code also. This contains a OS, application and software code also. Guys, understood? Yeah. So what we will discuss? So we'll discuss about the Docker file. So guys, in the Docker file, D is the caps. If you are creating a Docker file, D is the capital letter, guys. K is the capital letter. Guys, understood? So what Dockerfile contains?
Instructions to create the image.
Yes, very good. So Dockerfile contains set of instructions to build Docker image. To build the Docker image. Very good. So a Docker file contains a set of instruction to build the Docker image. So for example, so what are the set of instructions? So we discussed, right? I already pasted. Yes, understood? Set of instruction. So it's a domain specific, DOP or domain specific keywords. So from keyword, run keyword, run keyword, run keyword, expose keyword, CMD keyword. So we used these keywords to create the Docker image. So for example, you guys, so this is the Red Hat OS we took from the Red Hat. So run command in the, so we install the HTTPD and wget and zip. So once we install, right, we downloaded this educate app. Then, so unzip this app. Okay. Then copy this, so these files to var.http, var.www.html. That expose port number 80. So CMD, so these commands are running while creating the Docker image. This command is running while running the container. So at that time, HTTPD will be start. Okay. So this is the a container. So this is the Docker file to create a container. So Docker file to create the Docker image. Once the Docker image is created, right? So we can run the image as a container. Okay. Once it is running, your application is there. So this is the Docker image. You can run it anywhere. You can run it anywhere. Guys, understood? Guys, understood or not?
Yeah, following.
Yes. In Docker file, we will use uh, we will use which language, guys? DSL. It's a domain specific language. What is that? Domain domain specific language. Okay. So in Dockerfile, we will use the domain specific language. Okay. So Docker engine will read Dockerfile. Docker engine will read the Dockerfile instruction from top to bottom to process. Okay. Instructions from top to bottom to process. Process the process the image. To create the image. So what is that? So Docker file contains a set of instruction to build the Docker image. And in Docker file, we will use the DSL, domain specific language. Docker engine will read Docker file instruction from top to bottom to process to create the Docker image. To create the Docker image. Okay. Yeah. Next. So in Docker file, we will use the below keywords. What are the in Docker file? We will use below keywords. In Docker file, we will use the below keywords. What are the keywords? Docker, Docker file keywords. What are those? Docker file keywords. What are the Docker file keywords, guys? One is from keyword. Second one is so maintainer keyword. Third one is copy keyword. Fourth one is add keyword. Fifth one is run keyword. Sixth one is CMD, CMD keyword. Seventh one is entry point keyword. Eighth one is NV keyword. Okay. Ninth one is arg keyword, environment keyword, arg keyword. So tenth one is workdir, workdir command, workdir keyword. 11th one is expose keyword. So 12th one is volume keyword. 13th one is user keyword. 14th one is label keyword. Okay. So these are so we have more, but few of them is so most recently, most usually used these keywords in the keyword key Docker field guys. Okay. So what is the from keyword? What is that? What is the from keyword guys? So what is the from? So from is nothing but it represents the base image to create our Docker image. What is that? Base image means OS. That base OS to create our Docker image. What is this? It represents base image. It's represent a base image to create our Docker image. What is that? It represents a base image to create our Docker image. Docker.com. Sign in. For example, CentOS 7. So I want to install the CentOS 7 OS, and on top of CentOS 7, I want to install the all the HTTP that Apache. Then I will upload my code into the Apache. So from base image, we can take the Ubuntu, CentOS, Oracle, Red Hat. So these are the base images. Base image. Guys, understood? So that is the base image. So for example, so what is the syntax, guys? Syntax is from CentOS 7. From CentOS, from Ubuntu, or from Ubuntu. From I want to take a Tomcat. So Tomcat base image also, or you want to take so from Apache also, or you want to from so right. So want something like you want to from MySQL. MySQL. So colon is nothing but a the tag. So tag is nothing but a, for example, MySQL 8.5 or for example. So from from Python, I want to take the Python installed latest, right? So this is nothing but a so it is represent the base image to create our Docker image. These all are the base images to create our Docker images. Guys, understood? So from is nothing but a to get the base image. To get the base image. Understood? So the next one is what is that? Maintainer. Okay. So maintainer. So who is the maintainer, guys? So for example, maintainer. So maintainer, it is to specify Docker file author information. Who created this Docker file? Who created this Docker file? It is used to specify Docker file author information. Yes, understood. So maintainer is nothing but it is used to specify Docker file author information. So Docker author information. What is the syntax, guys? Syntax is syntax is okay. Maintainer hurry dot ch at the rate tcs.com. Okay, tcs.com. Guys, understood? So this is nothing but a maintainer. So a maintainer. So what is the next, guys? Copy. What is the next command? Next keyword is copy keyword. C-O-P-Y. Copy. Okay. So what is copy keyword, guys? Copy keyword. So what is copy keyword? It is used to copy the files from source to destination while creating the Docker image. So while creating, you have a files want to copy from one location to another location. The local. It is in the local, wherever you are creating your Docker file, right? That and that. So we want to copy it from local to so that the Docker images. How you can copy this? It is used to copy the files from source to destination while creating Docker image. While creating the, it is used to copy the files from source to destination while creating the Docker image. Okay. So what is the syntax, guys? The syntax is nothing but copy source destination. What is that? Source to destination. Yes. What is the? It is used to copy the files from source to destination while creating the Docker image. So for example, guys, example, what is example? Command is copy. Copy. I want to copy a file. For example, temp. In the temp, we have a fb dot where are jar. Okay. Where you want to copy? We want to copy app or opt tomcat web apps. So here you want to copy fb dot where. Okay. So this is the example, guys. So you want to copy it from temp fb dot where to so opt tomcat web apps fb dot where. Okay. So what is that next, guys? Next is add. So what is the add? It is used to copy files from source to destination while creating the Docker image. Same, but there is a difference, guys. So copy and add are same, but there is a difference. I will tell you. It is used to copy the files from source to destination while creating Docker image. Guys, so why I'm specifying here while creating the Docker images, some commands, some keywords will work while creating the Docker images. Some keywords will work on the while running as a container. Okay, keywords. So that's the reason copy and these all are from running while creating the Docker image. Okay, so these all are. So copy also it is This command is used while creating the Docker image. This command also used while creating the Docker image. So add to copy both are same. It is used to copy the file from source to destination while creating the Docker image. Add it is used to copy the files from source to destination while creating the Docker image. So both are same. Why we are using copy and add, guys? So there is a so there is a some difference between copy and add. So there is a some difference between the copy and add, but the functionality is copy the files from source to destination. There is a slight difference between the copy and add, guys. So in the interview also, they are asking the question something like what is the difference between add and copy. I will tell you guys. Okay. Yeah. So what is the syntax, guys? Syntax is nothing but a add, source, destination. What is that, guys? Source and destination. So what is that? The example add. What is the source, guys? Source is nothing but a HTTP URL. It will it will download from the web and copy it to the destination. Guys, now you understood the difference between copy and add. So what is the difference between copy and add? Copy will copy the files from local to local only, but local to Docker file. But the add it will download it from the URL web and it will copy to the location. That is the difference between add and copy. Okay, guys, understood? Just speak code, guys. Then only I can understand. You are able to understood or not.
Yeah, yeah,
Add,
following, bro.
yeah. Add URL. Then you want to copy it as a OPT Tomcat webs. So this URL is something like a. I will tell URL. Something like lab 6a dot var. So what is the URL for the lab 6a? Download lab 6a var. Yeah. So this is the location copy link address. You guys understood? So it is downloading from the web. Where you can download this? So we can download from the .lab.6a. We can download from the web and copy it to web apps. Copy it to web apps. Guys understood? So this is nothing but a add and copy. Add and copy. Guys understood?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. So there is a question called as question called as what is the difference between copy and add command? Guys, this is an interview question. So how you can answer this, guys? How you can answer this, guys?
Copy command copies the file from uh, source to source to local destination, but
Mm,
command copies the file from the URL to the destination.
very good. So copy, it can copy from one path to another path within the same mission. Within the same mission. So add, it can copy from one path to another path and it supports URL also as a source. Supports URL also as a source. Okay. It can copy from one path to another path within the same mission. Within the same mission. Add, yes, it can copy from one path to another path path, another path, and it supports URL also as a source. Okay, URL also as a source. Guys, understood? So what is the next command? The next keyword is run keyword. What is that, guys? Run keyword. Okay. So what is the run keyword, guys? So run instructions will execute while creating the Docker image. What is that? So run instructions will execute while creating the Docker image. While creating the Docker image syntax. So it's like a run is nothing but a run is nothing but a commands. How we are running our commands in the shell prompt, the same like as run, it will execute the commands, guys. So what is the syntax? Syntax run install git run install httpd run git clone repo. Okay, run cd repo name. You want to move the you want to move it. Run mvn clean package. Okay, run cd etc. Guys, understood? So the run, guys, understood? So run instructions will execute while creating the Docker image. Syntax run m install git m install httpd. So run git clone, right? So you used the command run here, you see. So run m install, okay. Run wget. So wget means downloading. Run unzip, run cp, right? The commands will execute using the run command. Okay, but note. So what is the note? Note. So we can write multiple run instructions. Docker engine will process from top to bottom. So you created how many created? So one, two, three, four, five. So it will run from top to bottom, and all run instructions will execute in while creating the Docker image. Okay, we can write multiple multiple run instructions. Docker engine Docker engine will process from top to bottom. Top to bottom. You guys understood? Next, next one is CMD. So what is CMD? CMD, CMD instructions will execute while creating the Docker container. Same guys, same Docker, same run CMD. Both are it will execute the commands, but there is a difference. There is a difference. So run instructions will execute while creating the Docker image. CMD instructions will execute while running the Docker image. Guys, understood? CMD instructions will execute while creating Docker container. So while creating the Docker container, so these CMD instructions will execute. Okay. Using CMD command, we can run our application in container. Using CMD command, we can run our application in container. Okay. So your application will container. So what is the syntax, guys? The syntax is cmd sudo start tomcat cmd cmd. You see here? Yeah. So this is CMD. So we are starting the HTTPD service. Starting the HTTPD service. So while running the container. So while running a container. Guys, understood? Note. So what is the note? We can write multiple run instructions. Docker engine will process the instructions from top to bottom. Top to bottom, guys. Okay. So CMD instructions will execute while creating the container. So using CMD command, we can run our application in the container. Okay. Sudo start tomcat, for example, HTTPD tomcat. Okay. So we can write multiple CMD commands. Okay. What is the note? We can write multiple CMD commands. You can write multiple CMD commands or instructions, but Docker engine. So Docker engine will process only last CMD instruction. Okay. So you can write multiple CMD instructions, but while creating a Docker container, it execute the last CMD instruction only. So you write the four CMD instructions, but it will execute only the last CMD instruction. But in the run command, so it will execute each and every instructions, but top to bottom while creating the Docker image. But in the CMD instruction, CMD also same, it will execute the commands, but so these commands, the CMD will execute while creating the container, and it will execute only the last CMD instruction, and it will execute the last CMD instruction, right, guys? So here also we have a question. So copy and add and copy and run and CMD also both are same, but there is a difference. A difference. Okay. What is the difference between run and CMD? What is the difference between run and CMD? Guys, understood? Run instructions will execute while creating the Docker image. So will execute while creating the Docker image. Docker image. Okay. Shit. CMD instructions will execute while creating the Docker container. Creating the Docker container. We write write multiple run instructions. Docker engine will process from top to bottom. Will process from dot to bottom. So we can write multiple CMD instructions, Docker Docker engine, meaning will process only will process only last CMD instruction. Last CMD instruction. Guys, understood? Guys, so as of now, what we will discuss? So we discussed from maintainer, copy, add, run, CMD. Okay. So what is the note, guys? Note is there is no use of writing multiple CMD instructions. Okay, instructions, right? So that's the reason. If you see this, Docker file, so we ran. So we ran. So something like a. So we so we added multiple run commands. We added multiple run commands and only one CMD command. So because of so CMD command will execute only one CMD command execute, and that is the last CMD command. So okay, so it will execute all the run commands while creating the Docker image from top to bottom. All the run commands will execute, but the CMD commands only one CMD command will execute. Okay, guys, understood? Yeah. So now a simple Docker file. We create the what is that sample Docker file. Sample Docker file we will create from Ubuntu. The base OS is Ubuntu. Who is the maintainer? Who is the maintainer, guys? Maintainer is Hari CH. Correct? TCS or Pro.com. Okay. I'm running multiple run. Echo is the print statement, right? I I am run one. What is this? I'm run one. I'm run two. I'm run three. I'm run four. Okay. You can write the same command as CMD. CMD echo I am CMD1. Okay. CMD2, CMD3, CMD4. Okay. CMD1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my Docker file. What this is, guys? So this is my Docker file. So create a file name, call it as a. What is the name called, guys? Create a file. File name is Docker file. In the Docker file, D is the capital, guys. So Docker file. So D is the capital one. So what is this? So VI Docker file. Okay. Copy the above sample Docker file content and keep in Docker file. Escape plus WQ shift call. It will save and exit. Okay. So what is that? Create a Docker image using Dockerfile. Okay, how you can create, guys? Docker build -t image name, my image name dot means it will take the current directory, current of file. So example, Docker build -t my image dot. You will create a my image dot. So then, okay, how to create a Docker? Let's see. Session easy to open user so okay, yeah, vi docker file. Okay, so here you can copy paste the instructions. So from Ubuntu maintainer hurry, so run echo I am run cmd. So why we are writing cmd? So let me check. So this last cmd command will be executing while creating the docker container. So wq, right? So then let's check the docker images. Docker ps ip docker stop container id, docker stop container id. Okay, docker rm docker ps ip, docker images, docker rmi image id. Yeah, so nothing is there. Docker ps ip, docker ps. Okay, so now execute the command called as a build. What is that, guys? Build command. So from this Ubuntu, from this Docker file, we can build the image. So this is my first image or my image. So build. So you can use the Docker build to build the image from the Docker file. Okay. So Docker field open my first image doc. So from the Docker file, we can build the image. So from the Docker file, we can build the Docker image. From the Docker image, we can run the Docker container. Please understood? Yes. So what is the command? Running Docker build -t my image dot means it will take the current directory, the Docker file. Yeah, you see. So while building the image, while building the from Dockerable library, we can get the base image Ubuntu. Okay. So then, so what is the next instruction? So once the maintainer array, so then first run echo m run. So run echo m2 3 4. Okay. So these commands will execute while running the while creating the Docker image. You see. So you see, so it is running while creating the Docker image. Okay, so Docker image is created. Let's see Docker images. Yeah, my image is created. So tag is latest. If you are not giving any tag, it will take as a latest tag. Okay, image ID, it will created the image name, image ID, and 46 seconds ago. So what is the size of this size? So 78 MB only. 78 MB only. Okay, so you can run the Docker container. So run the Docker container, or you can run Docker run image ID or image hyphen D detached mode image Docker ps hyphen E. You see, only one command it execute, that is echo. So the echo I am his. So while running, this command will execute. Running, this command will execute. Guys, understood? Guys, understood.
What command it executed there? Echo?
Echo the command hi, I am CMD. So this command will execute the last CMD command.
Then, okay, you wrote four commands to show us only the last command is going to execute it, right?
Execute. Yes, yes. Do you understood?
Yeah. And one more thing,
Hmm.
build hyphen T, what is my image?
Name of the image name. You want to which image you want to create as app one, my image.
Oh, you
Okay.
want the image to be created with my image name.
Whatever it may be, you can take whatever it may be. You see, even the syntax. So image name, whatever you can give it. App one, app 20, or Tomcat, whatever you want, you can give it.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
Got it right?
Bro.
Yeah. So
But while running the,
mm,
he told that the run command will execute it while the image creation, right? So while the image creation, we need OS. So you are using OS from OS, okay? And
yes.
you are copying a few files. But why to run this? Hi, I am usually it
No,
doesn't need,
just
right?
showing purpose. Run command. So run all these from top to bottom, it will run, right? So
Okay.
for example, is the run commands will execute top to bottom or not? For that purpose, I used.
Okay. Okay. But 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 in real time,
Mm.
only CMD is helps, right? Because CMD
No,
only
no, no. We
to
can run
to
only.
keep to keep the container, for example, to keep the container instead of existing, to keep
Mm.
the container running, we use CMD, right?
So CMD is the command to execute this command.
Yeah.
Okay.
CMD is the command which gets executed while the container
While the container creation.
creation. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So what command we need to execute? This CMD command is while running the container, we need to execute. So for that time, what we need a systemctl start HTTPD, because of if HTTPD is running only, then only it will see the website. Okay. It will see the website. So for creation time, what we need to install the HTTPD, wget, zip poke, get the zip file and unzip this file and copy it to var.ww.html, right? So your application, image, everything will be created while creating the Docker image. Okay. For while running the container, that time only we need to start the systemctl because of so this time, if you start this time, right? Is there any use in the Docker image? So no use. So we need to start while creating the container, and we need to expose that application from the outside. So we need to see the application in the web. So for that time, we need a systemctl start, right? So this command will execute while running the container. These commands will execute while creating the image.
Yeah. But what is this foreground? What it does actually? Foreground.
So foreground is nothing but a So we can run this command. So you see something like a foreground, right? So for example, mm, I will show you that. Is the one, no? Shit. So here you see, if you are not using the hyphen D, so it will keep on. It will not exit from the hash. It will not exit from the command prompt. The same like as if you are using foreground, right? So it will execute. It will execute foreground. Mm,
Oh, detach mode, you mean?
yeah, yeah, detached mode.
Okay, okay. Got it.
So detached mode. It will run on the background. Foreground is nothing but a background. Okay,
Yeah, okay, okay.
understood, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll continue from tomorrow, guys. So tomorrow we'll show you application. Okay, you guys can practice these commands, guys. On Monday I will show you. So this, while using this Docker file, we can show the remaining one, CMD, right? Entry point, NV, so env, arg, workday, expose volume. So I will tell you these, and I will create a Docker file, and will run the Docker file in the container, and will expose this in the, so we'll see it in the browser. Okay, this we will see it in the browser. We'll show you on Monday, guys. Okay, guys,
Bro,
please watch the recordings, whatever the recordings we have from last Docker. You will understand thoroughly. Satish,
yeah, yeah, bro, sure. But
okay?
yeah, yeah, I will
Hmm,
get in touch with them. Okay,
hmm, hmm, hmm,
okay,
hmm.
okay, okay,
So
bro.
Ravish, you got the video, sir, recording, sir.
Yeah, but for Docker, I not received it.
Yeah, you can reach out to Kirti, right? Kirti, the other number 96187211797.
Okay.
I will inform to Kirti. Harshita, you there? Yeah, I will inform to Harshita or Kirti to provide the recordings to you. Huh?
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, bro. Bye.
Yep, yep.